Changing an air filter is very simple.
New cars today, you look at lines of code.
It's time for DriveWithMe-TV.
This is DriveWithMe-TV.
With your host, Dave Jickster.
So get behind the wheel with me, Dave Jickster, for DriveWithMe-TV.
Hi, I'm Dave Jickster from 97 Rock. Welcome to Drive With Me TV, Western New York's only automotive television show. On this edition, a top doc takes us for a spin. The car care coach, Lauren Fix, is back with what's trending in automotive. Find out what's under the hood from Pete, the car whisperer. What should you do if you get into a fender bender? And check out some of the hottest wheels that were on display at the Buffalo Auto Show.
So let's get rolling with our friend, John DeShulo.
Take a look at these hot wheels here in Western New York. You know, at Come Drive With Me, we want to feature some of the hottest cars in town. And if you look at this fleet that we've got here right now, you'd think, is it owned by a race car driver, an auto dealer? Well, no, these cars are owned by Dr. Michael Nazareth from Western New York Dermatology. Dr. Michael, thanks for joining us on Drive With Me.
Thanks for having me.
You have quite a fleet here. Let's start with this Porsche. What year is it, and tell us all about it?
So this is a Porsche 911 Turbo S from 2017. This is the 991.2 generation, 580 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, and a top end of 205 miles an hour.
Wow, and the engine's in the back.
Yes, that's always the fun thing with Porsches, that the engine's in the back, and you got the front trunk with those ones.
What's the other vehicle that you've got? It's a Lexus, right?
So this is a Lexus LC 500. This was Lexus's newest coupe last year. It was featured in a couple of movies and things like that, including Black Panther. This car has a really nice high revving, naturally aspirated 5-liter V8 that pumps out 471 horsepower and really sounds marvelous as it screamed out to 7,200 revs.
And something very unique about the hood with pyrotechnics that I don't think a lot of our viewers would even realize.
Correct. So because Lexus wanted that really low hood design, they still had to meet pedestrian safety standards. There's actually pyrotechnic charges on the front and back hinges to pop the hood up in the event of an accident to make sure that pedestrians are protected and there's enough clearance over the engine block.
Who knew?
Yeah.
And my favorite color is red. The Jeep there is a Hellcat. Is that it?
That's correct. So this is taking, Dodge's famous 707 horsepower Hellcat motor that's been in the Challenger and the Charger for a few years now, and stuffing it under the hood of a Grand Cherokee, having all-wheel drive, so great for Western New York, and it'll actually hit 60 in the low 3-second range.
Well, my favorite color is red, so we're going to pick the Jeep.
Let's do it.
Let's go. I have never seen anything like this. This is not just how fast you're going and how many miles are left on your tank of gas. This is a complete
Correct. So you can kind of
engine.
customize the vehicle to what you're doing. If you're out for a nice cruise, you can keep the suspension kind of soft. If you're really hammering it through some twisty roads, you can try and make the suspension a little bit stiffer. I can pull up the performance pages here, which will actually show you a real-time dyno of the engine to show you how much horsepower and torque the vehicle is making, and also the gears that it's choosing as it shifts.
What made you pick this particular vehicle? What was it about this Jeep?
I've always liked, I've had Grand Cherokees before, and I've always liked Jeeps, and it was nice to be able to get one with a little bit more power, but it's still very practical. I can take the kids in this vehicle. I've driven it on trips out to Syracuse, down to Washington, and things like that, and it's actually very good in the snow. There's a snow mode on this, so it's actually quite reasonable even in our weather in the snow.
Let's talk a little bit about who you are. We've heard your spots on the radio, and some people who are watching have probably been treated by you from Western New York Dermatology, and you've been in that practice 7 years, I understand.
Yeah, 5 years. We founded the practice about 5 years ago. Started, with about a staff of 10 people, and now have over 50 on staff. We're adding a Mohs surgeon this summer and building a new Mohs surgery center, which will be opening probably at the end of August, early September. So really changed the way we do derm in the area. We try and do everything under one roof. So we do medical dermatology, surgical dermatology, cosmetic dermatology, and we even treat kids with pediatric conditions.
Yeah, I saw that, and you're on Spindrift.
Yes, we're on Spindrift in Williamsville, just down the street from Windsong. We are trying to raise melanoma awareness. Last year I started the Love of Skin Foundation, actually.
Well, that's terrific. What is there a website for this, Di?
Yeah, it's loveofskinfoundation.org. You can also get to that from our WNY Derm website as well. So that's been a really nice cause for us, and have seen some definite strides there in trying to raise awareness so that kids are more protected. It's very rewarding for me to practice in the same community that I grew up in. My wife is local too. She's a pediatric anesthesiologist at Children, so the Make-A-Wish is definitely something near and dear to her heart. You know, the Festival of Trees and things like that,
Sure.
that also supports children. So we're very fortunate to live in a community that really cares about people in general, and we are the city of good neighbors after all, and I think it's been great to see the response with some of these events that have really helped our community.
Oh, big time. What was your first car?
My first car, when I turned 16, I had a 1995 Subaru Legacy, which got me through high school and the first part of college there. And then I had a Subaru SVX, which was a very cool car because that was Subaru's two-door sports car back in the day with that window within a window. So that was my first kind of high-performance car that I ever owned.
Oh, camera dude in the back there, Richie. Oh, here we go. Camera dude's thrown into the back seat, but he has a Subaru too. He swears by him. And
They're great in bad weather. My mother still has an Outback, actually.
What moved you to become a bit of a collector now with these high-end vehicles that we just saw?
So it started actually with the Jeeps and things like that, and I obviously like the high-performance motors. I'd always dreamed of having a Porsche 911, so that was the most recent addition to the fleet. Never really thought about the Lexus LC till I drove one and really loved the sound. It's not as fast actually as this Jeep, even though it's probably the sportiest looking of my vehicles, but it sounds very good. That car's kind of got a great dual nature. It can cruise effortlessly, just like the luxury you'd expect of a Lexus, and then when you want it to be, it can be quite sporting as well. Obviously, this one's kind of got that Jekyll and Hyde personality too. That it can be a very comfortable, relatively almost boring Jeep
Like
Grand
a normal
Cherokee.
ride, but then bam.
And when you want to, it can actually outdo some Ferraris and Lamborghinis in a straight line.
So the performance pages, you can see the dynamic go up and down as we move along.
Correct. So you're actually seeing real-time horsepower and torque, and the little numbers at the bottom there are showing you what gear the car is picking. If we want to do other fun things,
Sure.
you can actually pull up the G-forces that you're experiencing. So when you accelerate, you can see that it shows you that you're getting a couple of dots further down. When you brake firmly, you'll see that on there. This is kind of neat to look at if you're on a track, because you can actually see what kind of G-forces you're generating, both forward and backwards, and lateral acceleration as well.
So not only is this a car, it's a giant computer.
Correct, and honestly, that's really the way things have become. When we put a man on the moon, that computer didn't have as much power. All those computers together is what's now in your most basic, like Ford Fiesta or Chevy Sonic.
I've heard that, yeah, that the technology to get to the moon 50-some years ago wasn't as much as we have right here. Well, look, Dr. Michael Nazareth, some of your dreams are coming true, more to come. You're giving back to Western New York through your practice and now enjoying your hobby. And thanks for taking us on a ride to come drive with me.
Thanks for having me on the show. Definitely one of the shows I love watching.
You're welcome.
Welcome back to Drive With Me TV, and now it's time to take a look at the dashboard. And today we start at automotive news all the way over in Japan, where Toyota Motor Corp is gearing up for another run at the U.S. electric vehicle market, possibly starting with a crossover developed jointly with Subaru. These two Japanese car makers said last week they will develop a dedicated EV platform and build a C-segment crossover on it that each company will sell separately. The announcement was part of a messaging blitz by Toyota that it intends to amp up EV deployment and even introduce a solid-state battery by next summer. The results of a competitive market for electric vehicles could be shocking. Meanwhile, speaking of electric cars, from Car and Driver comes word that the Volkswagen IDR electric vehicle has just lapped a 12.9-mile Nordschleife, better known as Nürburgring, a famous track in Germany, in a time of 6 minutes and 5 seconds, the second fastest ever recorded, and a clear 40 seconds inside the previous fastest electric race vehicle there. The record run was accomplished with an average speed of 128.6 miles per hour, according to Volkswagen. Now that is electrifying. From CarBuzz comes word that Volkswagen will begin installing charging stations nationwide for electric vehicles. Electrify America has partnered with Walmart to install more than 120 ultra-fast electric vehicle chargers as part of the company's $2 billion investment to build fast chargers across America. The partnership with Walmart will make the retailer one of the largest charging hosts in the country. Imagine a trip to Walmart where you use your charge card to charge your car. By the way, if you're curious about some of the costs of the top-selling electric cars, take a look at some info From Energy Sage, Nissan Leaf, $22,490. Chevrolet Bolt, $29,995. Tesla Model S, $67,000 flat, and Tesla Model X, $72,000. These prices are after the $7,500 tax credit for purchase of an electric vehicle. And finally, in our dashboard trivia, can you tell us how much the first electric vehicle cost? We'll have the answer when we return. Welcome back to Drive With Me TV. It's time for the answer to our trivia question. Can you tell us how much the first electric vehicle cost? Back in 1912, gas vehicles went for a mere $650, but the first electric vehicle sold for $1,750 in the same year. Talk about lighting up your bank account. That's all from the dashboard on Drive With Me TV.
Did you know one of the most respected automotive experts is not only a woman, but is a woman from right here in Western New York? After her many national tours, I was lucky to catch up recently with the car care coach, Lauren Fix.
Cars now, there's a lot of distractions on the road, texting, everything else. Now they have touch screens. What are your feelings about all the new technology? Is it a distraction to the driver?
It depends on the brand. Some of it is very distracting. You have to go multi-layers deep. I review literally every car that's on the road, from the lowest to the highest price. And you notice when you have to go 4 or 5 levels deep just to set a preset for a station is a distraction. Where probably the best system on the road right now is the virtual cockpit by Audi, where you look in front of you and all the gauges shrink down and it's full navigation. It's also part of the head up and you can set it up any way you want. Of course you do that before you leave. So you could have the nav here or the nav here or the nav in front of you. It's pretty spectacular.
The millennials, I think you have 2 of them.
I have 2 of them, yes.
They buy everything online. Everything online. So would you suggest to buy a car online, because there's several options to buy a car online, or would you suggest to go to a local dealer and make a relationship and have it serviced? And
I think first thing you should do your homework online. Get third-party experts such as myself or other people that are out there. No, don't call me up. I'm so busy. I don't know what part of the world I'm in. I've been literally from Corsica to Iceland this year. But what I would suggest is do your research online. Find out what year, make, model you want, find out your price range, and before you make any decisions, check with your insurance, because everybody forgets that, because it could be higher or lower based on the replacement. Especially if you're looking at an electric vehicle. All those vehicles that are hybrids cost more to replace, so they cost more to insure. So I think a lot of people forget that. Now, once you've kind of written down what you want, reduce it down to like 3 or 4 cars, test drive them. Get the local dealers, get some pricing, because we do have great local dealers in the Buffalo area, thank goodness, because not every city in the country has that. Then go online and do some comparison shopping. And if they're gonna offer you a better price, go back to your favorite dealer, say, hey, what do you got? And if the price is better here, what you're gaining is a business relationship with somebody here in town. And we do have great dealers. And so if you need service, you're gonna get it. But if you buy it out of town, you're still gonna get service. So it has to be about price and convenience for you. So some people like it local. There are people who buy them on Amazon. I'm not thinking that's the right way, because you have to test drive a car. You can't just buy a car and never drive it. That's a big buyer beware.
Lauren Fix, the car coach, we are so happy to have her on this program, and thank you so much. I could talk to you for hours about this.
Well, let me know. We'll talk cars again.
Awesome.
Here we are with Frank Todaro. I got my guy, Frank Todaro, here. We are back at Collision Masters.
Yes, you are.
And it's summertime now. The sun's shining.
Finally.
So, obviously in summertime, a lot more cars on the road, a lot more fender benders, a lot more accidents. So what is the first thing that somebody should do when they get into a little fender bender?
I would recommend the first thing to do is pull off to the side of the road and make sure you're in a safe spot.
So assuming everybody's okay, then what you're going to do is probably take pictures of the damage?
Yeah, so what we want to do is anyone can pull into our garage here. We'll get you out of the elements, and what we're going to do is assess the damage and write you a free estimate. But we'll coordinate with your insurance company, even conference your insurance company on the phone with us to go over the claim and get a claim number.
So if somebody gets into an accident and everybody's okay, they pull up to the side of the road, they take pictures of the damage, they don't need to call their insurance company, they can call you, Frank.
Well, what I would recommend at the scene is usually call the local police and try to get an accident report. Usually,
How important is that?
Super important, real important. You want to get that documented. Documentation at a scene of an accident is super important.
And then you call Collision Masters.
Then you call Collision Masters.
And you
That's
can
right.
take care of everything. You get their insurance number and insurance card, and your people will call their insurance company.
Well, if the vehicle's not drivable from the scene, you can call us and we'll get our tow truck dispatched right away and bring it right here to the shop and bring you along with it. Or if you can drive it here safely, come on in and then we'll assess the damage, get you on the phone, we'll get your claim started, get you on a conference call, and answer any questions you have.
Well, here's a car that's drivable, and this is John DeShulo's car from WBBZ-TV. He had a little fender bender. Not kidding.
Yes, yes.
So here we have a vehicle that looks like, I'm not a collision expert, obviously, but it looks like there's some serious damage here.
Yeah, looking at it, it looks like his rear bumper has some scuff marks on it. It's got a little crack in it.
And there's a lot of times, I can speak from experience, that you're in like a little fender bender and you take a look at your vehicle and it doesn't look like there's any damage done at all, but that sometimes is not the case.
Today's day and age, these cars are actually computers and they have many, many sensors. Now with the safety items on these vehicles, we have lane departure sensors, which most people are not aware of. There's an actual sensor in this area here that lets you know that you cannot go into the left lane until there's a vehicle not in the way. So that can be damaged, right? So what we plan to do is write an estimate based on what we can see and access. Then the insurance company would authorize us to disassemble the vehicle, where we come up to a repair plan. We actually will come out to right to the penny. Once we get it all apart, we can factor in when we receive the parts, what parts we're going to find for the car, and get you a final price and what day we expect that car to be done and promise you that.
Seems like, Frank, your company eliminates a lot of steps for somebody that has a misfortune of a little fender bender.
Well, the process is we want to be upfront and honest with the customers, so we're all on the same page. Communication is key. People want their car back. They want to drive in their car to go back to work.
So, fender bender, accident, get off to the side if able, make sure everybody's okay.
Yep.
Call the police, file a report.
That's right.
Right, and then call Collision Masters, and you guys will take it all pretty much from there.
Right, and another key point too is it's not a bad idea to have a disposable camera in your glove compartment at all times.
Document everything.
Even an old cell phone, even though it's not working, if you can plug it in, charge it up, you can call 911.
It's not just a one-man show. You're my guy, but it's not a one-man show. You have a great staff here.
No, I would not be anything without my staff here. They're phenomenal. They have years of experience. They do this day in and day out.
So who is the director of first impressions when somebody calls?
So right at the gates, you're going to deal with Shannon, and she is amazing. She's been here for many years for me now, and you know, she works very well. Everyone actually, when they come in and they say hi to me, they want to talk to Shannon.
Great. And then how many mechanics do you have here?
We have a total of 13 employees here, majority being mechanics, and we have our manager, Scott.
Frank Todaro, thank you very much.
Thanks,
I got
Dave.
my guy,
Thank you,
Frank Todaro from Collision Masters.
Frank Todaro is your guy. Connect with Frank and his Collision Masters team in South Buffalo at 716-848-4800, downtown at 716-855-2886, and online at collision-masters.com.
I'm Pete with PRD Performance, and this is Under the Hood. All right, the first step in changing your oil is lifting the vehicle off the ground. You can use jack stands, but I find the easiest and safest way is to use ramps. What you want to do with the ramps is just simply make sure that they're centered in your wheel and up against it, and then you just drive up onto them. Now that you've raised your car and engaged your e-brake, the next step is to release the oil cap. This prevents suction so the oil drains faster. Once you're under the vehicle, you're going to want to find the drain plug. Usually you can do that by finding a black pan, and in this case the black pan is actually under this plastic housing. But once you find it, you'll just want to loosen it and just break it free. Then you grab your oil drain pan and you finger loosen it. Position the pan underneath so when the oil comes out, it'll probably shoot back, and then that way it doesn't go all over your garage. The next step after getting the drain plug off is to get the oil filter off. You can sometimes do it by hand, but I'm going to cheat and use this tool. It's an oil filter tool. And what this does is clamps right onto the oil filter and it allows you to twist it off. If you have one of these, it's a strap wrench. You can also use one of these, but if you can use a oil filter tool, I highly recommend it. The next step is to prime the new oil filter with new oil. You do this so that the engine doesn't run dry. You're just going to fill the new oil filter with new oil. Let it drip down. And there you go. And what you want to do next is take your finger and just run new oil around the seal. This helps you get the oil filter off the next time you change your oil, and also gives you a good seal. And then you'll take your new oil filter and simply thread it on. Now you don't want to force anything because the threads can strip real easily, and it should be super easy to just thread on. To tighten it, you're only tightening it hand tight. You don't need any tools or anything. The next step is to replace the drain plug. Sometimes you'll need a crush washer, and you can get those at a local dealership or even an auto parts store. And you just situate it right on there, and then you just put it right on and just twist it in. And then what you'll do next is take your wrench or socket and just tighten it. There you go. All right, the next step after replacing the oil filter and putting in the drain plug is to fill your engine with oil. Once you let your engine run for a little bit, you'll want to check the oil level. Take the dipstick out. And you'll want to have a rag with you, and you just clean it off. Slide it back in, and then pull it out again. So once you have the dipstick out, you'll be able to check the oil level, and luckily it seems like we're right at the full mark, so we've successfully changed our oil. Thanks for joining me on Drive With Me TV. I'm Pete with PRD Performance. We'll see you next time on Under the Hood.
Every year, the Buffalo Convention Center is transformed into a world of wheels, cars, trucks, and specialty vehicles. Who puts this show together, and what happens during the rest of the year? Let's meet Paul Stasiak and Betty Murphy from the NFADA. Welcome to Drive With Me TV. I'm Dave Jickster, and we're at the Buffalo Auto Show, where the cars are the stars. What is special about this auto show than other cities?
We have a selling show, and when I say with a lot of respect, we won't get a lot of new model introductions. We get a few every year, but this isn't about showing glitz and glitter and cars we're never going to have. Our dealers, our manufacturers work to put cars that people need with packages. They take the input from this show and say, hey, that package won't sell in Buffalo. This is a better price package. And they take the information from the customers, and then they start selling in February, March, or April. So when my competitors, auto shows around the country, talk about, well, how do you get many people in and how do you get the post-show sales, we tell them we survey the people, and our dealers do.
Great Buffalo Auto Show you have going on here, but there's a charity aspect to this too. Tell us about that.
So in 1999, we created the New Car Dealers of Western New York Charitable Foundation, and the purpose is to raise money for local 501c3 organizations in Western New York, primarily those that serve children and families. So since 1999, we've distributed over $1.5 million.
$1.5 million. How is that money raised?
Well, we're pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
Most of the money is, believe it or not, raised at this event every year. So this is the Auto Show Charity Preview Party. It kicks off the show, so it celebrates the industry. And this year we have about $95,000 in sponsorship, and all of that goes into the charitable foundation. We've got a board of trustees. We look at grant applications twice each year, and then we issue grants to local organizations.
Do you have any statistics on the most popular car, best-selling car in the Buffalo area?
I can just tell you it's an SUV by a long shot. By virtue, as I said, the number of employees, probably be a GM product.
Just had an interview with Betty Murphy. Amazing amount of money that this auto show has raised for charity.
Thank you, Jickster. That's our pride and joy. What does the show bring? an economic boost, not just to the dealers, but more to the community. We'll give over $1.5 million. This show will add more, and it's not just that, it's the awareness we bring to causes along with it. Buffalo Experience, you know, wings, everything. There's so many good charities, it's hard to pick one, so we try to feature a few a year.
Holy Batmobile! It's been great here at the Buffalo Auto Show. Thanks for watching Drive With Me TV. I'm Dave Jickster. The Niagara Frontier Auto Dealers are involved in so much here in our hometown all year long. Get everything you need to know at nfada.com. That's it for this edition of Drive With Me TV, Western New York's only automotive television show. Tell us what you think. Join the conversation at WBBZ-TV on Facebook and at WBBZ on Twitter. Look for our next episode coming soon when we test drive one of the hottest coupes in town. Get more great advice under the hood from Pete and find out who will be in the driver's seat. Thanks for watching on air and online.